All praises to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and peace to everyone joining us on this program. This is indeed the Fountain of Israel Bible Studies program, and as always, it's an honor for me to stand before you on the Lord's Sabbath. The lesson that we're going to cover today is called Covetousness, a Gateway Sin. Covetousness, a gateway. A lot of times the Ten Commandments, and we look at the law. Just my own personal opinion, I think sometimes the 10th commandment, the law thou shalt not covet, is more than often ignored, or at least not spoken of often. So what we're going to do today is we're going to actually cover this particular law or commandment and look at what the Bible has to say dealing with coveting and why we shouldn't. And I say it's a gateway sin because a lot of times that particular law, or it being broken, leads to other sins, and we're going to look at that in the Bible. So we're talking about coveting, or covet, or covetousness, okay? And right at the top, I'm going to look at the actual definition for covet. All right, and it is 2530, the Hebrew. And it is pronounced or kamad, okay? And the definition, the description is to desire, covet, take pleasure in, delight in, to desire, to be desirable, to delight greatly, desirableness, okay? Primitive root, to delight in, beauty, great, beloved, covet, delectable thing. There's an idiom, delight, desire, goodly, lust, be pleasant, precious. Okay, so we have the Strong's definition of what covetous means. So a great desire, to lust, you know, so we would put, you know, to want something, so to covet after something. So what we're going to do is look at Exodus, and we're going to look at that law. Okay, so we want to start in Exodus, and we want to read verse 17 actually. Verse 17, Exodus 20 and verse 17. And when you get there, go ahead and read.
17.
Yes.
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife,
Mm-hmm.
nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
Okay, so when we look at 17, it is saying, thou shalt not covet or desire greatly. Do not desire greatly, nor his man. Don't desire any of that. Okay, greatly. Okay, today we people like that, we call it hating or something. Someone has something, we want it. We don't want them to have it. Not only do we not want them to have it, but we want it. Okay, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor. Mean anything is not yours. Okay, it's nothing wrong with wanting something and then going out working for it to earn it or achieve it. But if it doesn't belong to you, that's the problem. Okay, we understand? So Deuteronomy 5. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 5. Let's look at it one more time, because we know Deuteronomy 5 is really a retelling of the commandments, or retelling of the covenant. And so we're going to look at it one more time in Deuteronomy 5, just for the fun, just so that it is abundantly clear, and we'll move on. Okay, so Deuteronomy 5 and 21.
Deuteronomy 5:21. Neither shalt thou desire thy neighbor's wife, neither shalt thou covet thy neighbor's house,
Mm-hmm.
his field, or his manservant, or his maidservant,
Mm-hmm.
his ox, or his ass, or anything that is thy neighbor's.
Look at that. So he threw in the word desire that time over in 21. It said, neither shalt thou desire thy neighbor's wife, and then it switched back to covet. Neither shalt thou covet thy neighbor's house, his field, so on and so forth. That's what we're talking about here. So you don't want to desire that, because it will lead to something else. And we're going to see an example of that. But for now, let's go over to Ephesians 5. Let's go to Ephesians chapter 5. And we want to take a look at some of the types of people who will not make it into the kingdom. And you can probably guess one particular type of person who won't make it into the kingdom. And this is the subject that we're dealing with. Okay, so a lot of times we get into a covetous mindset, and we just won't let certain things go. And some people, when they covet after, you know, they don't stop. They stop at nothing until they get what they desire, even if they get it, you know. I mean, when someone robs a bank, they're coveting after what's in that bank, and look at everything that they're doing to get the contents out of the bank by robbing the bank. Okay, so it just leads you to doing sinful things. So we're going to go to Ephesians 5. I want you to pick it up at verse 1.
Ephesians 5 and verse 1. Be ye therefore the followers of God as dear children, and walk in love, as Christ also hath loved us, and hath given himself for us an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet smelling Savior. And all uncleanness or covetousness. What? Say that again, but what? Verse 3. But fornication or covetousness. Let it not be once named among you, as becometh saints. Yeah, because guess what? If you're a saint to God, you're a believer, you're a follower, then covetousness should not be a part of your character. Shouldn't be about that. Remember when you look in the book of Acts and everything, they say, oh, everybody sold everything that they had and laid it at the apostles' feet, and then they distributed as those who had need, stuff like that. They did not covet. They said, hey, what's mine is yours, what's yours is mine. I know we don't do that today, but at the very least, you can't covet in your heart. Okay? I mean, we don't help each other the way we look at how people helped one another in the Bible. We don't do that today. I mean, we should, but I know it doesn't happen. I'm not naive to think that you know that but those who call themselves believers, who believe in this covenant, who believe in Jesus, and all uncleanness, verse 4. Neither filthiness nor which are not.
Go ahead.
Oh, my bad. But rather whoremonger nor unclean person, or covetous man.
A covetous man. You should already have this in your head. You guys should have this in your head. For this you know that no whoremonger, nor unclean person, nor covetous man, who what? Go ahead. Verse 5.
An idolater, any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and of God.
What? Go ahead.
Let no man deceive you with vain words, for because of these things cometh the wrath of God upon the children.
It says, let no man deceive you with vain words. Now, imagine someone telling you don't have to do nothing, covenant doesn't matter. You can be covetous, you can be idolatrous, you can be all these types, you can be a whoremonger, you can be all that. Now, imagine someone telling you that you ain't got to keep no law, it's okay, it's good. And then the very next thing in verse 6, it says, let no man deceive you with, okay, let no man deceive you with vain. Rather, this is the reason why. I hope you guys caught that. This is the reason why. Let no man deceive you with vain words, for because of these things come the wrath of God upon the children of disobedience. Disobedience to what? I hope that's starting to sink in. Okay, read verse 7.
Be not ye therefore partakers with him.
Okay, so those people say you don't have to do anything.
We're not responsible for anything. Don't let any man deceive you. And deceive you. And as it pertains to the lesson at hand, it's not okay to be covetous. It's that simple. Don't let anybody deceive you with vain words, make you think it's okay. No big deal. Chapter 10, Psalm chapter 10. Psalm chapter 10. Psalm chapter 10. Okay, and when you get there, son, give me verse 3. Psalm 10 and 3.
Psalm 10 and 3. For the wicked boast of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous, whom the Lord abhors. The wicked, through the pride of this countenance, will not seek after God. God is not in all of his thoughts.
Okay, all right. Now let's look at this. Look at this. Okay, so he basically saying the Lord ain't in his thoughts, but let's see what a whore is. Okay, a whore. Okay, the pronounce is nawatz, right? Is in the Hebrew nawatz. It's 5000 5006 in the Hebrew, and to spurn, contend, despise, abhor. To spurn, contend, to spurn, to cause to contend. Okay, so hate. All right, so we're talking about. Okay, verse 3 says, for the wicked boasteth or brag of his heart's desire, or what he covets, and blessed the covetous, okay, someone who covets, whom the Lord hates. Whom the Lord hates. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, okay, this is his attitude, will not seek after God. God is not in all his thoughts. It's just that simple. Let's go to Mark 7. Let's go to Mark 7. A lot of wisdom in the Psalms and the Proverbs. One of my favorite books, actually. Mark chapter 7, verse 21. Son, go ahead.
Mark 7, verse 21. And he will not evil eye, blasphemy, pride, foolishness, all these evil things come from within and defile the man.
Things are, this is some thoughts. We can vouch for that, right? Adultery, men think about within. From within. And we have, and just give me the first two verses. Micah 2, 1 and 2.
Micah 2, verse 1 and 2. Devise iniquity, work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand.
This is what they dwell on. This is one of the things that are in people's mind. Okay, look at what he says. He says, woe to them. Okay, there's calamity. Okay, woe to them that devise iniquity. You know, iniquity is sin, and work evil. Okay, upon their beds. You go to bed thinking about plotting, scheming, you know, things like that. When the morning is light, they practice it. They get up real early to start doing evil. Okay? Because it is in the power of their hand. Verse 2.
And they covet fields.
No, remember that, because we're going somewhere next. And they covet fields. Go ahead, son.
And take them by violence.
Mm-hmm.
And houses, and take them away.
Mm-hmm.
So they oppress a man and his house.
Mm-hmm.
Even a man and his heritage.
Even a man and his heritage. I want you guys to pay particular attention to this, okay? So, while you guys meet me over in 1 Kings, pay attention to this, okay? Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. Verse 2, and they covet fields and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Okay? Is everything okay with the stream? Okay. Watch it. Let's take a look at this over in 1 Kings. I want you guys to look at something real quick. Let's look at 1 Kings chapter 21. 1 Kings chapter 21. Okay. And we're gonna start at verse 1. At verse 1. 1 Kings chapter 1. But keep in mind what we just read. That they covet fields and they take them by violence. Okay? Now, watch this. Go ahead. 1 Kings chapter 21, verse 1.
1 Kings chapter 21, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to pass after these things that Naboth the Jezreelite had a vineyard,
Mm-hmm.
which was in Jezreel,
Mm-hmm.
hard by the palace of Ahab king of give me vineyard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it is near unto my house.
Mm-hmm.
I will give for it a better vineyard.
Mm-hmm.
I will give thee.
Okay, king. So Ahab is asking, you got a nice field. I like it. I want to use it for a garden of herbs. This is what he's saying to Naboth. He said, give it to me right here, right next to my place, right next to my house. And I'll have a bunch of fields, or I'll give it to you in money. What do you want? Let's see what he says. Okay, so Ahab asked Naboth for his field. Okay, go ahead. Verse 3.
And Naboth said to Ahab, the Lord forbid it me,
Mm-hmm.
that I should give the inheritance of my fathers unto thee.
So he didn't want to do it because it's an inheritance. Remember what we read in Micah? They take it by force and takes a man inheritance. Yeah, takes his stuff. Okay, so he said, no, I mean, my father, this has been in my family. I can't sell it. God forbid, I can't sell it to you. Okay, go ahead, verse 4.
And Ahab came into his house heavy and displeased because of the word which Naboth the Jezreelite had spoken to him.
Mm-hmm.
For he had said, I will not give thee the inheritance of my fathers.
Mm-hmm.
And he laid him down upon his bed and turned away his face and would eat no bread.
Okay. Are you getting this? Are you getting this? And Ahab came into his house heavy, so his countenance fell. He was sad. His lip was on the floor. He was upset. Okay, and displeased because of the words which Naboth the Jezreelite had spoken unto him. And the thing was, he didn't even change what he said. He actually said what he said. He said, for he had said, I will not give thee the inheritance of my father. Like, that's a bad thing. I don't want. No, this is an inheritance. I gotta keep it in the family. I can't do that. Okay. He will not give the inheritance of my father, and he laid him down upon his bed. So he laid on his bed. Okay, you know how we just go run to the bed, flop down. Okay, we were upset. Okay, and he laid it down upon his bed and turned away his face. You know how you facing the wall, or you're not trying to talk to anybody, and would eat no bread. Okay, that sounds like pouting or throwing a tantrum to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what it sounds like. I mean, you guys take you guys take it how you want, but that's what it sounds like to me. Okay, verse 5. So
wife came to him and said unto him, why is thy spirit that thou eatest no bread?
I told you he was sad. Go ahead.
And he said unto her, because I spake unto Naboth the Jezreelite to him, give me thy vineyard for money, or else I will give thee another vineyard. And he answered, I will not give thee my vineyard.
He can't say no. He can't say no, I don't want to sell it. Guess not. I mean, go ahead. He said, and Jezebel, his wife, said unto him, does thou now go? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to go ahead. Okay, I don't want to go ahead. In verse 6, he said, and he said unto her, because I spake unto Naboth the Jezreelite, and said unto him, give me thy vineyard for money, or else, if it please thee, I will give thee another vineyard for it. And he answered, and I will not give thee my vineyard. Verse 7, son.
His wife said unto him,
Does thou
not now govern the kingdom of Israel? Arise and eat bread, and let thine heart be merry. I will give thee the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite.
Now let's see how she's going to get this, okay? Because this is a tale of covetousness. And we're going to look at that. All right, so let's look at what she said now. In verse 7, she said, and Jezebel, his wife, said unto him, does thou now govern the kingdom of Israel? Arise and eat bread, and let thy heart be merry. I will give thee the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite. Okay, verse 8, go ahead.
So she wrote letters in Ahab's name.
Ah, there's some treachery right there. Told you it's a gateway.
And sealed them with his seal unto the elders and to the nobles that were in his city dwelling with Naboth. Okay, now the only thing that was okay is because I'm sure, since it's a husband, I'm sure she has his permission, but not right. Go ahead. And she wrote in the letters, saying, and set Naboth on high, and set 2 men, sons of Belial, before him, to bear witness against him, saying, bless God and the king. And then carry him out and stone him, that he may die. Wait. Like a little treachery right there, right? Look what they said. Look what he said. Yeah, and she wrote in the letter saying, proclaim a fast. So everybody's going to fast, and set Naboth on high among the people, right there in front of everybody, where everybody can see him. Right there out front. Okay, and then this is what she wanted to say. And set 2 men, sons of Belial, before him to bear witness against him. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Okay, that's a problem. All right, and then and saying, thou didst blaspheme God and the king. So your line right there. And then carry him out and stone him, that he may die. Thou shalt not murder. Starting with covetousness, isn't it? Oh, my husband wants this field, and he is king after all. So hey, I'm gonna get it for him. She was coveting it more than he was, because he was fine with just pouting and cry and don't want to eat his pudding, and that's it, and move on. But she's like, no, we're getting that field. So let's continue. Okay, verse 11, son. And the men of his city, even the elders and the nobles who were the inhabitants of his city, did as Jezebel had sent unto them, and as it was written in the letters which she had sent unto them. They proclaimed a fast, and set Naboth on high among the people. And there came in 2 men, children of Belial, and sat before him. And the men of Belial witnessed against him.
Okay, now let me go ahead and stop. I want to help everybody real quick on that whole Belial, whatever that is. We're gonna look that up in the Strongs. It's Belial, okay, pronounced Belial, okay, and it's the Hebrew, and it means worthlessness, worthless, good for nothing, unprofitable, base fellow, wicked, ruin, destruction. Okay, so sons of wickedness, sons of worthlessness, worthless, good for nothing sons. That's what they're saying. Okay, so we're just looking at the definition of what they're saying. So and came in 2 men, children of Belial. Okay. Yeah, just a bunch of thugs, good for nothing. Okay, go read 13 again, son.
There came in 2 men, children of Belial, and sat before him, and the men of Belial witnessed against him.
Basically lied. Go ahead.
Even against Naboth, in the presence of the people, saying, Naboth did blaspheme God and the king. Then they carried him forth out of the city and stoned him with stones, that he died.
Now, do you guys, y'all realize that was wrong, right? I mean, you can plainly see that was wrong. Didn't blaspheme. He just said, I can't sell it to you. It's my father's inheritance. That's simple. But look what happened to him. And look who did it. Jezebel. Continue. 15. Okay, 14, go ahead.
Then they sent to Jezebel, saying, Naboth is stoned and is dead.
Go ahead.
And it came to pass, when Jezebel heard that Naboth was stoned and he was dead, that Jezebel said to Ahab, Arise, take possession of the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite, which he refused to give thee for money. For Naboth is not alive, but dead.
My goodness, just heartless. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, when Ahab heard that Naboth was dead, that Ahab rose up to go down to the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite to take possession of it. And the word of the Lord came to Elijah the Tishbite, saying, Arise, go down to meet Ahab king of Israel, which is in Samaria. He is in the vineyard of Naboth. Whether he is gone down to possess it.
Even the Lord still said it's Naboth's vineyard. He's over in the vineyard of Naboth. Okay, go ahead, verse 19.
And thou shalt speak unto him, saying, Thus saith the Lord, and I shall speak unto him, saying, Thus saith the Lord, in the place where dogs lick the blood of Naboth, shall dogs lick.
What coveting can lead to. Go ahead, son. Go ahead.
Elijah, hast thou found me? And he answered, I have found thee, because thou hast sold thyself to work evil in the sight of the Lord. Behold, I will bring evil upon thee, and will take away their
posterity,
and will cut off from Ahab.
Okay. Okay. Posterity is after the following part, behind, a place, hinder, afterwards, a time, place, off their prosperity, from behind, from, following, after, so on and so forth. Go ahead. We'll take away their prosperity.
Will cut off from
also
Ahab
your children. But go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Pissed up against the wall, and him that is shut up and left in Israel.
Okay. And now that expression is really describing a man. Left in Israel. Okay, so I'm gonna kill all the males. Go ahead, 22.
And will make thy house and son of Elisha, and nation where thou hast provoked me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jezebel also spake the.
Now that was gonna happen to Ahab and Jezebel. Go ahead, 23.
And Jezebel also spake to the Lord, saying, The dog shall eat Jezebel of the air eat. Which did say the Lord. When Jezebel, his wife, stood up.
Okay, so basically, you see how he still puts it on Ahab, supposed to be righteous, but his wife did all the executing of all this evil. But he stood by and let it happen.
He wanted it. He pouted. She said, "Oh, I'll get it for you, no problem." We don't know. Doesn't sound like he asked her any questions. Hey, what do you mean? You gotta, already asked him. He said, no, this and that. No, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. Then the next time you hear from your wife, oh, he's dead. Go get the field. And then you go to the field and you go possess it. So yeah, he had a hand in it. Okay. Now, if he's a righteous king, he said, no, don't worry about it. Don't mess with him. Don't do that. It's okay. But because it was convenient to his house, he had to have it. I want that field.
That's important to you.
Interesting. And then he had to kill somebody. Where were we, 25? Okay, no, we're 20. Yeah, you just read 25, which is, but there was none like unto Ahab, which did sell himself to work wickedness in the sight of the Lord, whom Jezebel, his wife, stirred up. 26.
Abominably in following
idols,
according to all things, as did the Amorites, whom the Lord cast out before the children of Israel. And it came to pass when Ahab heard those words that he rent his clothes and put sackcloth upon his flesh and fasted and lay in sackcloth and went softly. And the word of the Lord came to Elijah the Tishbite, saying, Ahab humbled before thee, because he humbled himself before me. I will not bring the evil in his days, but in his son's days will I bring evil upon his house.
So he just escaped some really bad stuff. Got by. Didn't get away. His family's not getting away. His sons and his sons' days, they're gonna all this evil. Parents, we gotta break the cycle at some point. I back and wonder, how come my life is thus? How come my family is thus? How come these things happen to us? My great-great-great-grandmother, my great-great, how come that happened? How come this whole line? Because whatever that curse or whatever that punishment may have just landed on you. So we have to break that. We have to humble ourselves. We may have to rend our clothes, sit in sackcloth and ashes, go into our prayer closet, go into our quiet place or whatever, and really humble ourselves and really go after God. And really get some forgiveness. Really wipe that slate clean. Because if you're a good parent, you don't want to have to pay for that. You do want some forgiveness, but you don't want your kids to pay for it either. It's a gateway. Leads to all lying, murdering, stealing. Somebody coveted a field. Let us continue. We're going to go to Romans chapter 7. Romans chapter 7. Romans chapter 7. And when you get there, let's pick it up at verse. Let's see here. Let's look at verse 7. Verse 7. Go ahead.
Romans 7, chapter 7, verse 7. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. Nay, I had not known sin, but by the law. For I had not known lust, except the law had said, thou shalt not covet.
So he equated coveting to lust as well, didn't he? And we heard that in the definition too of coveting. Okay, when you look at all the definitions there. Okay, now verse 8, go ahead.
But sin, taking occasion by the commandment, wrought in me all manner of concupiscence. For without the law, sin was dead.
Okay, so that's what we understand. This is what we understand. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. God forbid means no. The name means no, right? Okay, so the law is not sin. But what are you taught today? Okay, but we're gonna look at it some more. Okay, verse 9. Go ahead.
For I was alive without the law at once,
Mm-hmm.
but when the commandment came, sin revived,
Mm-hmm.
and I died.
Mm-hmm.
And the commandment which was ordained to life,
Yep.
I found to be unto death.
Okay, it was because of the breaking of the law, it was unto death. Because we know the rich young ruler came and said, "Good master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?" He said, "Keep the commandments." Okay, so he said, if you want to obtain eternal life, keep the commandments. So we know, hey, that's how you're going to get eternal life. But when he reads right here, he said, and the commandment which was ordained to life, and it is, I found to be unto death. Meaning when you break it, because the wages of sin is death, right? Okay, so that was killing me. Okay, but here's why. Verse 11. Go ahead.
For sin taking occasion by the commandment deceived me, and by it slew me. Okay, for it killed me. Now, he said all that stuff, and it's scary, and it sounds all bad. But look at what he says in verse 12 about what he just said. Verse 12, what? Wherefore the law is holy,
and
the commandment holy, and just, and good.
And good. So he found a problem with himself, right? If anything, he found a problem with himself. He said, well, and he said it worked all manner of concupiscence in me. I thought it was ordained to life, but I found it to be unto death, because once he understood what the law was, you realize, oh man, I've been messing up. I've been screwing up. And when you know what those wages of sin are, you're like, okay, man, I'm gonna have to pay for this with my life. But when you understand and say, oh, the Lord has all these commandments, particular covet, we see what it leads to. So what today we can just covet all we want now. Now I know what happens, but it's still a sin. Shouldn't. The law is holy, and the commandment holy, and just and good. So that means that covet is holy, and just, and good.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it means. We're going to continue. Go to Colossians chapter 3. Okay, that's ahead of Romans. Colossians chapter 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and all right. Okay, you know what? Start at verse 1. I'll just stop one.
If ye then be risen with Christ, Christ things sitting God, perfection on not on things on the earth.
Amen. Amen. See right there. No, don't covet. Okay, after that. Seek it. Now the Bible tells us to seek the kingdom, okay, first, and everything else be added unto you. So that's okay. Okay, so unless someone play games with you, like, oh, well, you're coveting after heaven and all that. No, you're not. Okay, it says seek the kingdom, okay, and his righteousness. Okay, so it's okay to seek that, because you'll get everything else with that. Understood? It says, so set your affection on things above, not on things on the earth. Okay, so what we get is coming from above. Verse 3.
For ye are dead, and your life is hidden with Christ in God.
Yes.
When Christ, who is our life, shall appear, then shall ye also appear with him in glory.
Yes, that new body. Go ahead. Now, verse 5.
Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry.
Okay, now let's look at 5. What he said. He said, mortify therefore the members which are upon the earth. So mortify, okay, that's the Greek word, necrou, okay, necrou. and then it means to make dead, to put to death, to slay, worn out. Okay, or of an impotent old man, to deprive of power, destroy the strength of. Okay, so mortify. So he's telling you to kill, therefore, your members which are upon the earth, and then he says, what is it? Fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, idolatry. And all this wickedness that's in you. Okay, this means, which is idolatry. Okay, so we want to take a look at that. Now let me look at this other thing. Okay, concupiscence. Okay, desire, craving, longing, desire for what is forbidden. Greek. Okay, that's what all the desiring something that is forbidden. Okay, can't do that either. And covetousness, which is idolatry. So I hope we got some understanding right there. Now let's go over to James chapter 4, which is also forward. James chapter 4. Okay. James chapter 4. And let's start over in verse 2. Verse 2. Chapter 4, verse 2.
James chapter 4, verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
You lust
Mm-hmm.
and have not.
Mm-hmm.
Ye killed and desire to have,
Mm-hmm.
and cannot obtain.
Mm-hmm.
Ye fight in war, yet ye have not,
Mm-hmm.
because ye ask not.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Mm-hmm.
because ye ask amiss,
Mm-hmm.
that ye may consume it upon your lust.
Mm-hmm.
Ye adulterers and adulteresses.
Mm-hmm.
Know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity.
Enmity with God. Okay, pause right there. I'll give you that too. Okay, this ekthra, okay, which is the Greek word enmity. Okay, cause of enmity. Okay, that's separation there. Okay, enmity, hatred, reason for opposition. Okay, that's how it's used grammatically. Hostility. Okay, are we getting it? So that's hostility with God. Okay, the adulterers and adulteresses, and know ye not the friendship with the word. Now, didn't we just read? We're supposed to set our affections on things above, right? Mm-hmm. But look at what it's saying. So it's all going together. It says the adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not the friendship of the world is enmity, hostility, opposition with God. Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God. Are we getting this? Mm-hmm. Okay, I just want to make sure we're absolutely getting this. All right, so when you dislike the things of this world, that's okay, because all this is going to be turned over. All this is going to be gone bye one day. All things will be made anew, including you with a new body. Okay, so don't fall in love too much with what's going on right now. Don't fall in love with that. Okay, so let's go over to 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy, let's go back. 2 Timothy. Chapter 3. Chapter 3. Still dealing with covetousness. You're going way back. 2 Timothy. Okay. Chapter 3. And when you get there, start at verse 1.
2 Timothy.
Yes, 2 Timothy 3 and 1. Yes.
3 and 1. 2 Timothy chapter 3 and 1. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. Mm-hmm. For men shall be lovers of their own self, mm-hmm. of their own selves, covetous, mm-hmm. boasters, mm-hmm. proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. Okay, now look at the type of people that's going to be running rampant in the last days. One of them is covetous. Covetous. A lot of times when one country takes over another country and goes to war, takes their land, stuff like that, because they coveted that land, right? Coveted the resources that land might have.
waters, go take it. But for the men shall be lovers of their own selves, because it's all about me, all about me, all about me. Covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedience to parents. You get that? Unthankful. You get that? And unholy. You get that. Verse 3, son.
Without natural affection, truth breakers, false accusers, incontent fears, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, or
heady,
high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away.
From such we should turn away from that. We should absolutely turn away from that. Okay, let's see. If someone is, well, we know what unnatural affection, we know what truth breakers are, we know false accusers. That's what happened when those two sons of, or two men of Belial lied on the guy. Oh, you blaspheme God and you blaspheme the king or whatever. So that's right there, you know. So we're gonna look at that. Well, let's look at incontinent. Okay, akarat ace is an adjective that says without self-control, intemperate. Okay, that's what that means. So people don't have any incontinent, no self-control. Fierce, despisers of those that are good. Okay, hating on you because you say, I believe the whole Bible. I believe it, you know, goes together. You know, I believe it. I believe the commandments still good, and I believe Messiah. That's what I need to have faith in, you know, so that I could achieve, you know, salvation. But I think, you know, the commandments is my accountability part of this whole covenant. That's my part of the deal. Is that simple? Is that simple? So you stand up today and say, hey, we should not covet. They're going to say, you shouldn't be trying to keep those 10 commandments. It's impossible. You couldn't do anything, ignoring Philippians 4. But we're going to keep on going. Okay? Traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. Because some people do act really religious. But it's all a front. They act pious, high-minded, but it's all a front. Having a form of godliness, wear the nice clothes, they got a Bible in their hand, they're banging a tambourine, but denying the power thereof. Let us continue. I want to look at something else, okay? All this coveting. Go to 2 Samuel. Go to 2 Samuel. We're going to look at this in chapter 11. 2 Samuel chapter 11. Okay. More coveting and what it leads to. More coveting and what it leads to. 2 Samuel chapter 11. And let's pick it up at verse 1. Let's look at another story. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 1. Dealing with covetous and as a gateway sin. Go ahead.
Chapter 11, verse 1. And it came to pass, after the year was expired, at the time when kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab and all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon, and besieged Rabbah, tarried still at Jerusalem.
Okay, so he stayed at Jerusalem. Go ahead.
And it came to pass in an evening time that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself. And the woman was very beautiful to look upon. And David sent, inquired after the woman. And one said, is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?
Okay, so now he got information. Okay, David got information. He inquired. He asked about Bathsheba. He asked, who's this? They gave him his answer. And the one said, or someone told him, is that not Bathsheba? You know what? I think that's Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah the Hittite. What did he do in verse 4?
And took her. He came in and he lay with her. He was and she turned to her house.
There, and David said, that's already knew now. Someone already told him, hey, wife of Uriah the Hittite. You know, basically that's a married woman. Didn't matter to him. He said, go get her, go fetch her, bring her over here. Went to go get her. He took her. She came in unto him. He lay with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned unto her house. Then what happened? Verse 5.
Deceived and sent and told David and said, I am with child.
So we know when it says, and he lay with her, we know what that means right there. Okay, verse 6.
And David sent to Joab, saying, Hittite. Joab sent Uriah to David.
So now the schemes begin. Because he coveted after a woman. He got her, and now the plot thickens, as it were. Go ahead.
And when Uriah was come unto him, David demanded of him how Joab did, and how the people did, and how the word prospered. And David said to Uriah, go down to thy house, and wash thy feet. And Uriah departed out of the king's house, and there followed him a mess of meat from the king. For Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his lord, and went not down to his house. And when they had told David, saying, Uriah went not down unto his house, David said to Uriah, camest thou not from thy journey? Why then didst thou not go down unto thine house?
So he basically asked him, and we look at 9, said, but Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his lords, and went not down to his house. Okay, because there's a war going on. There's a big war going on and everything. He said, look, just wash your feet, get cleaned up, go. He was thinking that he's gonna be like, okay, I'm at home. The king pardoned me. I'm gonna go home and be with my wife. That's what he was hoping. Okay, I'm just gonna go be with my wife. Said, but Uriah slept at the door of the king's house. He just slept outside with all his servants and his lord, and went not down to his house. He didn't go home. He didn't go home. Sweetie, hey, listen, we're at war right now. I can't be at the house with my feet. I got to be out there with my other soldiers. So he didn't go with that. And then in verse 10, he go, and when they had told David, saying, hey, Uriah went not down, he didn't go to his house. David said unto Uriah, he said, comest thou not from the journey? You didn't from the journey, you know that. You're out there in the war and everything. You came back and everything. Why didn't you can go home? Because we already know a man come home after war, it's tough or whatever. First thing he wants to do, he would love to get cleaned up and he would love to go see his wife. Naturally. But that didn't happen. Okay, verse 11.
And Uriah said unto David, the ark in Israel and Judah about in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in the open fields. Shall I then go into my house to eat and to drink and to lie with my wife? As thou livest, and as thy soul liveth, not do this thing.
Because it's just disrespectful to the other men who are out there on the battlefield, away from their wives, away from their children, and who are not. They're not in the comfort of their own home. So he said, why should I go down and do? I'm not going to do that, King. I'm not going to do that, my Lord. No, you're right. He said, hey, Israel and Judah, they're staying in tents. Okay, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in the open fields. Where they're out there in the grass, they're in tents and stuff. Well, no, I'm not going to go home like that. Shall I then go into my house and then eat and drink and lie with my wife? As thou livest, as my soul liveth, I will not do this thing. Go ahead in verse 12, son.
And David said to Uriah, tarry here today also.
Okay, so wait here today also. Go ahead.
And tomorrow I will let thee depart.
Yeah, so stay here today, stay there tomorrow, and then I'll let you depart. Go ahead.
So Uriah abode in Jerusalem that day and the morrow. And when David had called him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk. And at even to lie on his bed with the servants of his lord, but went not down to his house.
And the plot keeps thickening. David wants this man to go home to be with his wife really bad. Why? Because he's trying to cover up the fact that he got this man's wife pregnant. So he went as far as getting him drunk, feeding him, getting him drunk, treating him nice. This is a king. Of course, you ain't gonna refuse the king. So, okay, well, kings feed me. All that, we're good. Getting him drunk and everything, and then have him go home. He still wouldn't go in his own house. Still wouldn't go live with his wife. He's gonna deny himself pleasures and the comfort of home because he wants to be as the other men out there in war, in a wartime. Okay, he says, so he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. When David had called him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk. And at evening, he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of the Lord, but went not down to his house. 14, go ahead.
And it came to pass in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it by the hand of Uriah. And he wrote in the letter, saying, say ye Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle, and retire ye from him, that he may be smitten and die. Okay, so I hope we get that. There's a lot of treachery just in those two sentences there. He said, and it came to pass in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it by who? The hand of Uriah. Sent it by the hand of Uriah. And guess what the letter said? Now Uriah has a letter in his hand. It's usually sealed by the king's signet. Okay. It says so. He sends the letter. Look what it says. And he wrote in the letter saying, set Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle. That's where the most violence is taking place, on the front line, where spears and swords and all kinds of stuff is flying right there. Get him right there. Then retire from him. Back up. He doesn't have any help. Okay? Back up. Retreat a little bit. Back up from that he may be smitten, hit, struck. And what happened in 16? And it came to pass, when Joab observed the city, that he assigned Uriah unto a place where he knew that valiant men were. And the men of the city went out and fought with Joab. And there fell some of the people of the servants of David. Uriah the Hittite died also. Go ahead. Then Joab sent and told David all the things concerning the war, and charged the messenger, saying, when thou hast made an end of telling the matters of the war unto the king, and if so be that the king's wrath arise, he say unto thee, for approach ye so nigh unto the city when he did fight. He knew ye not that they would shoot from the wall.
Skip down to 22, verse 22.
So the messenger went and came and showed David all that Joab had sent him for. And the messenger said unto David, surely the man prevailed against us, and came out unto us into the field, and we were upon them, even unto the entering of the gate. And the shooter shot from off the wall upon thy servants, and some of the king's servants be dead, and thy servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. Then David said unto the messenger, say unto the king, displease thee, for the sword devoureth one as well as another. Make thy battle more strong against the city, and overthrow it, and encourage thou him.
He basically said, don't worry about it. Hey, everybody gonna die, casualties, things like that. Go ahead, 26.
And when the wife of Uriah heard that Uriah, her husband, was dead, she mourned for her husband. And when the mourning was past, David to his house, and she became his wife. But the thing that David had done displeased the Lord.
Thing displeased the Lord. Remember Jezebel and Ahab and all that. Displeased the Lord. Let's look at the very next chapter. Go to chapter 12 of this tale. Chapter 12, 2 Samuel chapter 12. Now let's pick that up.
2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 1. And the Lord sent Nathan unto David, and he came unto him. There were two men in one city, the one rich and poor. The rich man had exceeding many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing save one little lamb, which he had bought and nourished up, grew up together with him and with his children. It did eat of his own meat, and drank of his own cup, and lay in the bosom, and was unto him as a daughter.
He just raised this lamb up with his kids and everything. So it was just like a daughter. That's the only lamb that they had. Go ahead, verse 4.
And there came a traveler unto the rich man, and he spared to take of his own flock and of his own herd, to dress for the wayfaring man that was come unto him, but took the poor man's lamb and dressed it for the man that was come to him.
You know, because you're supposed to show hospitality. I don't want to digress, but you're supposed to show hospitality. And this is just a story, but the traveler's coming along to the rich man. Rich man's like, oh, I got to feed the guy. I need to do something. But he takes the poor man's lamb and kills it, dresses it, and all that other stuff, right? Go ahead. So, because he said he spared to take of his own flock and of his own herd to dress for the wayfaring man that was come unto him, but took the poor man's lamb and dressed it for the man that was come unto him. Verse 5.
And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man. And he said to Nathan, as the Lord liveth, the man that hath done this thing shall surely die.
Look how angry David did. I mean, God, look at how angry he got. He was like, whoa, wait a minute. Because Nathan the prophet was telling him a story. Hey, listen, rich guy took from the poor guy for no reason. In verse 5, he said, and David's anger was greatly kindled against the man, and he said to Nathan, as the Lord liveth, as sure as there is a God in heaven, the man that has done this thing shall surely die. Verse 6.
The lamb for foal, because he did this thing, and because he had no pity. And Nathan said to David, thou art the man. Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel.
What else?
And I delivered thee out of the hand of
Saul. What else?
And I gave thee thy master's house.
What else?
And thy master's wives into thy bosom, and gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah. And if that had been too little, I would moreover have given unto thee such and such things.
I want to give you more. That wasn't enough. He said, and I gave thee first and foremost, I gave you all of Israel. Okay, I made you king over Israel. I delivered you out of the hand of Saul. I didn't let Saul kill you. I gave you his kingdom. I gave thee the master's house, this kingdom, this palace, all this other stuff. I gave you the wives. He had multiple wives, and into thy bosom. And I gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah. And if it had been too little, I would more have given you such and such. Whatever you asked for, I would have given you more. Give you some more. You want some more territory? I'll help you defeat some more people, and we'll have more territory. I will give you more, whatever you want. But no! This poor man who was a servant unto you, who respected you, you had to have his wife. And look at what you did to do it. Look at what you did to do it. Verse 9. Go ahead.
Wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord, to do evil in his sight?
To do evil in his sight. And did what?
Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword.
Oh, now did David personally kill him? But he had him killed. Yes, there.
Hast taken his wife to be thy wife, and hast slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon. Now therefore the sword shall never depart from thine house, because thou hast despised me, and hast taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife.
And still call Bathsheba Uriah's wife. And so the sword should now, we already know after David died, his sons, they were just trying to kill each other. We already know that. After Solomon and all that, even son raping sister, killing each other, sword never departed out of his house. And then the baby that Bathsheba was pregnant with didn't make it. The first one didn't make it. So he didn't get away, did he? Didn't get away. And that's a lot of times we think we get away.
experience immediate pain. I know we live in a microwave society, but since we don't experience immediate pain, feels like we're getting away. And no. Now, let's look at verse 11. Let's see what else he says. Yeah, let's go to 11. Go ahead.
2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 11.
Mm-hmm.
Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine own house,
Mm-hmm.
and I will take thy wives before thine eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and give them unto thy neighbor,
Mm-hmm.
and he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of
the sun. And that happened. That's later, but I don't want to digress. Go ahead.
For thou didst it
Secretly. He slept with Bathsheba secretly. And go ahead.
But I will do this thing before all Israel,
Mm-hmm.
and before the sun.
In broad daylight. Go ahead.
David said unto Nathan,
Mm-hmm.
I have sinned against the Lord.
Do we justify our sins? Do we say, oh, well, no, well, because see, what happened was, he didn't say that, did he? What did Nathan say? Read that, son. What did he say? He said, verse 13, and David said unto Nathan, what?
David said unto Nathan,
Mm-hmm.
I have sinned against the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And Nathan said unto David, the Lord also hath put away thy sin.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt not die.
But what was the punishment for committing adultery and murder? And murder? You're supposed to die. Exactly. You're supposed to die. But he said, you're not going to die. He knew what the punishment was. He already knew what it was. And so when Nathan answered him, it wasn't a strange thing for Nathan to say, no, you won't die. Because he was like, die? Wait a minute. What are you talking about? I thought I'd just pay a couple shekels of silver and I'm good. Or what? No, he knew what the problem was. He knew what the penalty was. In other words, he knew what the wages of sin was. So this covetous nature, okay, or incident, I should say, I'm not gonna put it on his nature, but that incident, which began with him coveting thy neighbor's wife, right? Lusting after her, coveted her first, then committed adultery. That's why Christ says, if you look at a woman with lust in your heart, you already committed. That's why he said it that way. That's why you look at a woman with lust in your heart, you already committed adultery with her in your heart. You already did, because that's what you're gonna plot, scheme. That's what. Hey, look, we know that's what happens today. That's what the average guy does today. Don't have any self-control. See a woman, want to be with a woman. Plotting schemes on how to get with a woman. They even had songs back in the day, I got a man, what your man got to do with me? Right? Mm-hmm. Had nothing to do with me. So that's what we do. Coveting. Let's go 14. He said, no, in 14 he said, you shall not surely die. Skip down to 18. Go to verse 18. 18 and 19. 18, uh-huh.
And it came to pass on the seventh day that the child died.
Mm-hmm.
It feared to tell him that the child was dead.
Mm-hmm.
For they said, behold, while the child was yet alive, we spake unto him, and he would not hearken unto our voice.
Mm-hmm.
How will he then vex himself,
mm-hmm.
if we tell him that the child is dead?
They were scared. You know how the saying goes, don't kill the messenger. The reason why that became like a saying is because, okay, that's why. You deliver bad news, or I hate to be the bearer of bad. Yeah, in times like that, you did hate to be the bearer of bad news because you might die. Bad news. So you go up to the king who has all the power in the kingdom to kill you, and nobody can. You deliver him some bad news. Hey, king, your child, it was a boy, and it died. You could get killed. So they were scared to tell him the bad news. Verse 19.
But when David saw that his servants whispered,
mm-hmm.
David perceived that the child was dead.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore David said unto his servants, is the child dead?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, he is dead.
Okay, so now we know what happened. Okay, so now we know what happened. That was the problem, right? You know, that was one of the consequences. That was the first consequence right there. That was the first consequence of David's cutting another man's wife, then committing adultery with her, then commit murder against him. First penalty was losing the first child. Then after that, house was in shambles, meaning his kids in shambles. They had to fight for the throne. Solomon and his other brother, they had to fight for the throne on David's deathbed. And it just got worse after that. Really, mainly, I mean, Solomon kept the kingdom together. Don't get me wrong. He had Israel and Judah 40 years. It's a whole time. But when Solomon died, it got real ugly. And the kingdom split. Northern and southern kingdom. Then the kingdom split. And after that, it was just ugly. So we know what happened there. Let's take a look at Deuteronomy 7. Deuteronomy 7. I hope you guys got something out of that. Now, that's just a really good example of thou shalt not covet. Deuteronomy 7, chapter 7. Let's read verse 24.
Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 7.
Yes, no. Verse 24. Chapter 7, verse 24. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He shall deliver their kings into thine hand,
Mm-hmm.
and thou shalt destroy their name
Mm-hmm.
from under heaven.
Mm-hmm.
There shall no man be able to stand before thee,
Mm-hmm.
until thou have destroyed them.
Mm-hmm.
The graven images of their gods,
Mm-hmm.
of their gods shall ye burn it with fire.
Okay, so there's some instructions. What did he say in verse 25? What were they supposed to do with graven images?
Burn it with fire.
Supposed to burn them with fire. Burn it all down. Okay, go ahead. What else?
Desire the silver or gold that is.
Yeah, you are. Thou shalt. Yeah, you are.
Thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them,
Mm-hmm.
nor take it
Mm-hmm.
unto thee,
Mm-hmm.
lest thou snare
Therein. Mm-hmm.
for it is an abomination to the Lord.
Okay, an abomination is particularly bad unto the Lord. So just like you said, thou shalt not desire, you can still say thou shalt not covet. The silver or the gold that is on them, nor take unto thee, lest thou be snared therein, for it is an abomination to the Lord thy God. Verse 26, let's finish that. Go ahead. What does he say about this abomination? Go ahead.
Neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thy house,
Mm-hmm.
lest thou be a cursed thing like it.
Mm-hmm.
But thou shalt utterly detest it,
Mm-hmm.
and thou shalt utterly abhor it,
Mm-hmm.
for it is a
Cursed thing. Oh, okay. So neither shall thou. Okay, you know where we're gonna go. Okay, the Acts. Neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thine house, lest thou be a cursed thing like it, but thou shalt utterly detest it. You're going to hate it. You're going to despise it. And thou shalt utterly abhor or hate it, for it's a cursed thing. So the gold, the silver, all that stuff, don't take it. We're gonna come back to something similar. But first, we're going to go to Acts 20. Let's go to Acts 20, and then we'll get back to something pertaining to that. Acts 20, verse 30. Go ahead.
Acts 20, verse 30.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Also of your own selves shall men arise, speaking perverse things,
Mm-hmm.
to draw away disciples after them.
Sure they do.
Therefore, watch and remember that by the
space of 3 years,
I cease to warn everyone night and day with tears.
Mm-hmm.
And now, brethren, I commend you to God,
Mm-hmm.
and to the word of His grace, which is able to build you up,
Mm-hmm.
and to give you an inheritance among all of them which is sanctified.
Mm-hmm.
I have coveted no man's silver
Mm-hmm.
or gold or apparel.
I have coveted no man's silver, gold, or apparel. I have coveted no man's silver, gold, or apparel. I didn't hate on someone else because, you know, what today you got, you know, Jordans and stuff like that. No, I don't want to. Okay. That's cool. Nice kicks and move on. All right. I have covered no man's silver, gold, or apparel. Go ahead.
Yea, ye yourselves know that these hands have ministered unto my necessities.
I worked for everything I had. Go ahead.
That were with me.
Mm-hmm.
I have showed you all things, how that so laboring ye ought to support the weak,
Mm-hmm.
and to remember the words of the Lord Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
how he said, it is more blessed to give than to receive.
Mm-hmm.
He had thus spoken, he kneeled down and prayed with them all.
Mm-hmm.
And they all wept sore and fell on Paul's neck and kissed him,
Mm-hmm.
sorrowing most of all for the word which he spake, and that they should see his face no more.
Mm-hmm.
And they accompanied him onto the ship.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to get to Joshua 7. I want to get to Joshua 7. Okay, so I was just showing you. Paul was giving an example. I didn't covet after anything. I worked for everything that I needed. I didn't covet after no man's silver, gold, or his clothes or anything like that. I worked for whatever I needed. So now we're gonna go to Joshua chapter 7. Now remember, it says don't covet after there. Don't desire the gold, the silver, or anything. Don't bring it to your house. Don't now, because God will take care of you. Okay, if he says go in there and destroy all that, burn down the idols, tear down the groves, burn the silver, the gold, don't worry about it, because he has other stuff in store for you. So don't worry about all that stuff. But let's see what happens when you don't listen, when you disobey those words. So Joshua 7, right after Deuteronomy. Joshua chapter 7. And verse 18.
7 verse 18 said,
Mm-hmm.
and he brought his household man by man,
Mm-hmm.
and Achan the son of Carmi and son of
Zabdi.
the son of
Zerah,
and the tribe of Judah was taken.
Mm-hmm.
And Joshua said to Achan.
Now, just so I set it up, now remember, this is where the children of Israel, they took over a particular spot at this time. They had already taken it over. But when they went in there, God said, don't take any of that stuff. Burn it, destroy it, tear it down. Don't deal with any of that stuff. Don't bring it into your tent. None of that. Now, then someone got where Joshua said, look, we're starting to fail. What's going on? Are we cursed? What's happening? Forward, and the Lord said, look, somebody got something accursed among you. Someone didn't follow instructions. And so Joshua was like, okay, we need to find out what's going on. Someone has something, someone hiding something, okay, that the Lord said, do not bring into your place. What's going on? Because you're about to get all of us killed by the Lord. This is what's happening, okay? Now, go ahead, son.
And Joshua said unto Achan,
Mm-hmm.
my son, give, I pray thee, glory to the Lord God of Israel, and make confession unto him,
Mm-hmm.
and tell me now what thou hast done.
Mm-hmm.
Hide it not from me.
Mm-hmm.
And Achan answered Joshua and said, indeed, I have sinned against the Lord God of Israel,
Mm-hmm.
and thus have I done.
All right, so this is what I've done. Go ahead. What now? He said, this is what I've done. He said, and thus is what I've done. Okay, this is what I've done. What did he say?
When I saw among the spoils Babylonish garment,
Mm-hmm.
and 200 shekels of silver,
Mm-hmm.
and a wedge of gold,
Mm-hmm.
50 shekels weight.
Mm-hmm.
Then I coveted them.
He did what?
He coveted them.
Go ahead.
And took them,
Mm-hmm.
and behold, they are hid in the earth in the midst of my tent.
Okay, so now I caught this. Now we're talking about coveting. We dealt with coveting where it was from like coveting a woman. When you covet things. Now we're talking about coveting like material stuff. Okay? Silver and gold, he even said it. I coveted 100 shekels of silver, a wedge of gold, like a little a brick of gold, of 50 shekels weight. It weighed about 50 shekels. Okay. Then I cut them, and behold, they are hid in the earth. He buried them. He buried them, and they're in the middle of my tent, and the silver is under that too. Okay, go ahead.
So Joshua sent messengers, and they ran onto the tent, and behold, it was hid in his tent.
Go ahead.
And
Right.
And Joshua and all Israel with him took Achan the son of Zeph, and the silver and the garment and the wedge of gold, and his sons and his daughters and his oxen and his asses and his sheep and his tent and all that he had, and they brought them onto the valley of Achor. And Joshua said, why hast thou troubled us? The Lord shall trouble thee this day. And all Israel stoned him with stones, and they raised over him a great heap of stones unto this day. So the Lord turned from the fierceness of his anger, wherefore the name of that place was called the Valley of Achor unto this day.
Okay. Yeah. Him, whole family, children. The ox don't know what's going on. He get killed. Everybody gets killed. Everyone gets killed. That's why we gotta walk circumspect. That's why we gotta do what we must. We gotta do the best we can. All because a man coveted the spoils of war. Obviously, you kill the man, what's left? All their stuff left. You go to war, you kill them. Boom, there's gold, silver. You know, in today's age, you know, the weapons and all that stuff. But the Lord said, don't take any of that stuff. Leave it all, burn it, get rid of it. Don't covet any of that stuff. It is abominable to me. Don't do it. And he didn't listen. Let's go to 1 John. We got a few more scriptures, and then we're out of here. We got 4 places to go. Starting with 1 John. Starting with 1 John. You guys still with me? All right. 1 John chapter 2. 1 John chapter 2. We only got a few more spots. 1 John chapter 2. We could go in, you know, Ananias and Sapphira, you know, they're cutting out their own stuff, but they, you know, broken agreement and stuff like that. But stories that we have covered so far were appropriate for the lesson. So 1 John chapter 2, and when we get to chapter 2, I would like to pick it up. I would like to pick it up at verse 15. And so do me a favor. I'm going to do 1 John chapter 2. You go to Romans 12, okay? Did you find it? You got it? Oh, yeah, you 1 page back. Just go 1 page back. Chapter 2, correct? You're in 1 John. Or is that John? Is that 1 John or John? 1 John, okay. Chapter 2 in verse 15. Verse 15.
1 John chapter 2, 15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, Father is not in him.
Sound like something we read a little earlier, huh? Go ahead.
For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world.
Yeah, coveting could fall under the lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes. It can fall under that, right? Because that's what's in the world, okay? And the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world, okay? But is of the world. Read verse 17.
And the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of God abideth.
Will live forever. Okay, that's why. Don't be too in love with the world. That's the way. Okay. Let's go to our last couple places. Romans 12. Countdown to the conclusion. Romans 12. Okay, Romans 12. Okay, so we're trying to get us out of this covetous spirit, trying to get this off. It's hard. It's hard. We've been in it all our life. We coveted after, oh, I want this house, I want this new house, I want this new car, I want these new shoes, I want this new iPad, this iPad, iPod. It's everything. It comes right out of my pocket. So, but we covet after all these things. It's what we want. I'm trying to shake it off. Trying to shake it all off of us. So Romans 12, verse 2.
Verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
And be not conformed to this world,
Mm-hmm.
but be ye transformed by the renewing, that ye may prove what is that good, acceptable will of God.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, verse 3.
To every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think.
Yep.
But he thinks
soberly.
According as God hath dealt to every man the
measure of his faith, okay? Because we're all at a different place in our faith, okay? We all have a different amount. We're all different places, okay? Sometimes these lessons are very new to us, and we have to put it into practice, okay? So we say, oh man, I have to deal with this, I have to deal with that, whether it be holidays and holy days and dietary law and commandments and covenants and all this, okay? We have a certain measure of faith. So we start off with the milk, and so this that we're dealing with today is covenant. Being covenant, that's why I'm dealing with just one law according to our measure of faith. That's why I'm dealing with just one law. Thou shalt not covet. But we can easily see that it leads to others. It just does. It just does. So we have that according to our faith. Let's go to our last two places. Proverbs 3. Proverbs chapter 3. Proverbs chapter 3. I ought to get into my Sunday preacher mode when I say I'm almost finished and it's 2 hours later. So, but I don't want to do that. Proverbs chapter 3. You got nothing to do. Happy Sabbath. We're just here learning. That's all. Just trying. That's all it is. We got nothing to do. So let's just enjoy this word. Let's just see what thus says the Lord. Proverbs chapter 3. And I want to pick it up verse 5. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5.
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5.
Yes.
Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord, and depart from evil.
And we got one last place, which is Matthew 16. Matthew chapter 16. So we should not concern ourselves with, coveting, because we see what it leads to. And we want to know, ultimately, does it matter? It goes, you don't take the U-Haul truck to the graveyard. You can't take it with you. So Matthew 16 and 26 before we close out. When you get there, son, go ahead and read.
Matthew 16, chapter 16, verse 26, you said.
Consider, correct.
For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his work.
Stop right there. That's all we need to know. That's all we need to know. We need to set our affections on things on high, on things above. We need to seek the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things will be added unto you. That's where we need to focus. And not covet after things that does not matter, that does not profit us. So this lesson has been about covetousness, a gateway sin. We saw that it can be either something fleshly, it can be after, a woman or a man, lusting after, or it can be material things like a field or silver and gold. So it's not just one thing. It's the one thing that can lead to a whole lot of other things, and what we see, murder and lying. Yeah. It's just a whole heap of sin. So that's one of the things that we got to work hard and be diligent to try to cut out of our life. And that's covetousness. It's easier said than done, but it can be done. So until next time, search the scriptures and prove all things. Shalom.